wait for some more people to get in. If people get in. Hopefully some people make it over. I'll give it probably like, I don't know, maybe a minute, 2 minutes to let some people get in. So that way I just want to make sure that who was watching before, you know, don't miss it. Dude, so here's the deal, guys. This is why it is getting very hard, and I'll be completely honest with you. It is getting very hard to continue to do this stuff. You guys give me a ridiculous make this content to continue to bust my ass. You know, many people don't understand that full-time job, and this in and of itself is another full-time job. I am married, so trying to juggle and make sure that I give my family all of the time that it so much deserves, and quite frankly, it deserves a lot more of my time than I have available. And I think the frustrating thing is every single time, you know, you start taking a step forward, you just get leveled, like punched in the face the moment you take a step forward. And it's, you know, people don't understand how much time, how much money. I don't make a dime off of this. I mean, I don't make a dime, and how much money it costs me to produce this content, and how much time it costs me to produce this content. I don't even get a subscriber increase from it. I up my content quadruple from what it was, and still no change at all. They'll just axe my lives, as I'm sure this one does, and I really could give a shit anymore. At this point, I do this because I personally feel like, you know, maybe I can try to help still make a difference. I'm not going anywhere at all. I'm not changing the scheduling at all. I'm going to continue to do this. I just need you guys to see a little bit here how frustrating this shit can be. Because many people don't really understand. They see YouTube, they're like, man, this dude must be making it, you know, making money, blah, 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 blah. What an awesome thing to do. He probably doesn't do anything else. I just need you guys to understand the frustration, and hopefully you can get it. Doing shit like hitting the like button, commenting down below, all of that stuff really does help, help, you know, change the algorithms. Sharing the video around, like all that stuff really does help. So, yeah. I think they have a heart monitor on you when it goes up the axis stream. Probably. They want it to be hard for you to do. Brian, you're 100% right. Yeah, Brian, I'm not giving up, buddy. I'm not going anywhere. It's just, hard to explain. Yeah, Dan, I'm sure it is that way. So where was I? Talking about, by the way, for those of you that are going to be tuning in after the fact, I'm going to make this live stream part 2 unlisted, and I'm going to post the link to it underneath the main live stream. So that way, you know, oh, part 2, go to that, click it, whatever, just like we did for the last couple. Censorship is real, my friends. Censorship is real, and they don't want you to hear it. They don't want you to talk about it. We live in an illusion of freedom. We don't have freedom. This is not freedom. This is bullshit, is what it is. And the more people that wake up to that, the more that the gears will get turning. What do I see in a gun shop? I get to answer the phones, and I get to hear a different side of the story. I think what was the most troubling thing to me over the past, you know, couple of days, is that, as we said before, we said in the beginning of the live stream, an executive action is not an executive order, okay? An executive action is totally different. There have been no laws that have been passed, yet I have been receiving phone call after phone call after phone call after phone call on how people are already going to comply, on people already asking me questions on how they can comply. Let me tell you the basis of a bulk of the phone calls that I've been getting. Hello, I would like to figure out how to start my Form 1 application. I would rather just SBR my stuff now because I know they're going to do something with pistols and I want to avoid any problems. So I'm just going to register them all now and pay the $200 so they can't say anything. That's what I've been hearing a lot. Hey, I'm hearing I can't have this or that or this on my pistol. What do I do? Should I just take it all apart? Should I just get rid of it? Can I sell this to you? Can I put a stock on it after I registered the gun? Where do I go to register it? That has been all the phone calls that I've been getting. Now, my point is not that there are not still a lot of people out there that don't think in that way, right? That think in the way of the social media gun community of shall not comply, right? I'm not trying to say that at all. What I'm trying to tell you guys is what I've been hearing a lot on the social media gun community is that there is no one that will comply. No one's going to comply with that. Who would comply with that? And what you guys need to open up your eyes to is that there is a ridiculous amount in this industry that will comply. There is a ridiculous amount of people that are lazy and complacent and comfortable, and as long as they can coddle their precious little things and items and stay huddled up into a little ball in their basement, as long as they can pay $200 to the federal government to own something that was perfectly fine and perfectly legal to own a week before, as long as they can keep it and just get one more day of being left alone and just leave me alone and I'll just keep getting shoved into a corner I'll give you more money if you leave me alone. Those people will look at something like a registry or adding your pistol to the NFA as perfectly reasonable if they can keep it and avoid anything and just be left alone. And that is the reality that many of you need to open up your eyes to and wake up to. The more people that comply, if there are people not complying, it makes it quite a bit easier for the government to do something about a very small group of people that are not complying. Let me read your comments here before I get censored off the entire internet yet again. Rockford, I really appreciate you doing what you do for us. You're one of the best on YouTube, and there's not that many out there with legit info. I really appreciate that, man, more than you could possibly know, honestly. It really, you guys give me the motivation to keep trying to do this stuff. Huge increase in out-of-state armsless buyers who want a long gun without an FFL. Yeah, I would watch out for ATF on that one. 75 to 80% will comply. Brian, I would say, unfortunately, you are very, very right on that number. Thoughts on Eagle Arms working with PA Attorney General Josh Shapiro to ban 80% frames and receivers at their gun shows. So for those of you guys that don't know, Eagle Arms was a massive gun show here in the state of Pennsylvania. They were all over the place in Pennsylvania. I think they were out of the state of Pennsylvania as well. But they came forward and worked with our good old Attorney General and said, hey, we're gonna make 80% frames banned from our gun shows just to appease the masses, right? So here's the deal. Essentially, the Attorney General came to them and said, hey, we're going to shut down your gun shows unless you take away 80%. And they, Eagle Arms, said, hey, we don't sell that many of these things anyways. We're going to just pull them. We're going to comply, and we're going to we're going to compromise a little so that we don't lose everything. Who does that sound like? Well, the NRA has been doing it for the past few decades. That really hasn't got us anywhere. So thank you, Eagle Arms. I hope not a damn person goes to your gun shows anymore. What people need to understand is compromise gives us nothing. What are they allowing you to do at the end of the day? They give you a little piece of paper that says you're allowed to host your business, your property, that you're allowed to have people there. What gives them the right to tell you one thing or another? It's your business. It's a piece of paper at the end of the day. So You don't want me to sell 80% frames as far as Eagle Arms, right? Eagle Arms is looking at them. Oh, you don't want us to sell 80% frames? Fine, give us a lawsuit, is what I would have loved for them to say. But instead, they join the 75 to 80% give or take in this gun community and say, we're going to comply to be comfortable, right? We're going to comply to be comfortable, give them a little bit so that way we can keep going, right? Keep going until when? Until when? Because at the end of the day, they're going to come back, right? They're like a beggar that never leaves. They're going to come back. You give them a little bit, right? And they're going to come back for the whole thing. You give them 80% now, then they're going to add, quote, assault weapons to the NFA registry, and then they're going to come back to your gun show, right? Then they're going to ban gun show sales entirely. Way to go, because you started it by giving them a little bit more. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. There have been some small panic buying in my area, but businesses have been steady. Ammo is still hard to get, but it's out there. It's just expensive right now. Yeah, it is out there, but it is unbelievable in the price department. The not complying thing is stupid. Yeah, so here's the deal. There's two different forms of not complying. There is not complying and huddling up and hiding away, which is not going to change or do a damn thing. And there's openly not complying. There's two different things. I really don't know anymore, honestly. 15% will not comply while hiding in the basement. Yeah. The phone calls are getting insane for sure. Sean, no matter how you look at it, compromises are going to have to be made to keep doors open. I don't agree with it at all. Yeah, I mean, again, though, Sean, and I totally respect your point, and that's, why we have these live streams is for that open discourse. So first of all, thank you for your comment. But the reason why I would respectfully disagree is because, once again, I think the compromises will just continue to go until there's nothing left to compromise. We give you 80% frames now, and they can very easily just axe half of the whole firearms being sold at a gun show entirely in the future. So it's like, and then what? All right, we compromise. We won't sell firearms at a gun show anymore. We'll just sell accessories and magazines. You can't sell magazines anymore. You can't sell ammo anymore. And finally, you are just simply having a military surplus convention. So, that's the issue. Dara, yes, this is about gun control and the executive actions that have been rolling last week. What's going on with the NRA? Last I heard, they're filing for bankruptcy and moved to Texas, then nothing. Rockford, I don't know, man. I wouldn't be too interested in what's going on with the NRA. They constantly take donation money and spend it on their own personal paychecks and don't do a damn thing in the government. So I wouldn't be too concerned with the NRA at the end of the day. What the government takes by compromise is never given back. Doesn't matter what party is the majority. I would agree. Not sure what is happening with the NRA. Nothing good that will help us. It's also not stupid. You might get ended easily, but that sparks a fire in people's hearts. Yep. Pennsylvania's Constitution is even more clear about gun rights. Absolutely. Our right to keep and bear arms shall not be questioned. But it seems to be questioned quite a bit. So what exactly has been changed in the law? Nothing. And that's the important point to note. I'm getting a ridiculous amount of phone calls in regards to how I can comply with these new laws and what happened with these new laws that have been out there. And people don't seem to understand that there is no new laws. No new laws changed. And you need to understand the difference between an executive action and an executive order, right? So executive action is simply basically like a firm, I want you to do this, please. No laws have been changed. Will laws be changed in the future? Potentially, but as of right now, nothing. Yet everybody's going around saying, did you hear about the new law changes? How can I grow from 90 subs to 200? Keep making content, hope for the best. Honestly, I wish I could give you a better idea, but at the end of the day, if you're promoting regular content that is not related to a channel like mine or others like mine, then then you can pretty much post whatever you want. You're probably going to grow like crazy. When you're in this community, it's very tough to say. You can grow a lot until you get to on their radar, and then when you're on your radar, that's about it. Compromise means each party gives up something they want in order to get something both parties want. What is government giving up? Nothing I can see. Not a compromise at all. Legalized theft. I would absolutely agree. That's a perfect point to make. A compromise is us getting something in return. What are we getting? The ability to keep running an organization. So let's take Eagle Arms, for example, right? They have been legally operating their business without issue. Without issue. What do I get in return? All of a sudden, it's illegal for me to operate and own my business? No. I'm not compromising anything. You're just taking. You're just taking, and I'm being what? Allowed to continue doing what I'm doing? That's not a compromise. We give things with the NFA. Right? The NFA became in existence in 1934. What did we get back? The ability to just keep what was rightfully ours? After we pay some money? I don't quite understand. What exactly did we give? It seems like we've just been taken from, in my opinion. We have to pay attention to what's going on now more than ever, regardless if Biden's speech was weak and pointless. It doesn't really matter if his speech is bad at the end of the day. If he changes something with the ATF, it's going to get interesting very quickly. Those who would trade liberty for security deserve neither and will lose both. I agree. So the only real effect is panic and raising prices. Yes, quite frankly. And then on top of that, the real effect will be possibly in 30 to 60 days from now. We will see. This could amount to nothing, and it could amount to more executive actions and more firm pleas, statements. But this could. My point in doing this live stream is for people to understand that this is not a change in law. It is something, though, that you should be very aware of and something to maybe start thinking about, like, okay, what is this going to mean if they change that? But the frightening thing is how many people are absolutely A-okay with having to add their pistol now, their large frame pistol. That's ridiculous that even has to be a category onto the NFA. Subject to all NFA rules. The amount of people that have absolutely no care in the world for that is pretty insane. Aside from all of that, aside from any sort of worry that the government's going to come and take them, right? Aside from all that stuff, just the simple fact of the matter that you have to register this item for no reason at all, and if you have to pay $200 for this item, mind you, that you legally bought, you legally purchased, you already filled out their unconstitutional background check for it, you've been in legal ownership of it for how long? Perfectly fine with absolutely no issues, but because the government now deems it a problem, because some psychopath may have used, God knows anymore, that item, is now all of a sudden your item is totally unsafe, and if you pay $200, it's going to be safe again. Unbelievable. Arizona just passed Bill 2111 a couple days ago, the Firearm Freedom Act. Interesting name. More states should jump on board. So yeah, Firearm Preservation Act sounds sounds more like it. YouTube definitely saw that video I made in defense of what they did to your channel. I'll never change who I am to gain subs personally. Obviously, 90 is closer to 0 than 200, but I got to keep trying. Yeah, you know, it is what it is, man. I'm not doing this at this point for the fame and the fortune and the views. I want to keep trying to grow this channel, obviously, and that is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to be able to take this into something that I could potentially make more of, you know, than what it is now. But at the end of the day, I do this because it's a passion of mine. I do this because I enjoy the community and really the family that we have created around this channel. Sam, that's a great point. Already hear people say they can't wait for them to waive the tax stamp so they can get a free SBR. I've heard a lot of people say that recently too. Man, I'll tell you what, I was going to SBR this, but I'll just wait because it's going to be free. You got your head in the sand, buddy, because you don't really understand that that's going to be even worse of a problem. Because how many people, you have no idea how many people would comply with that. Truly. I mean, half of these people in the gun community here online believe that every single individual in the gun community is as hardcore as they are and as stand-up-ish Gadsden flag, will not comply, waving it around, blah, 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 blah. And that's just not the way it is. I can tell you right now that if they tell people to add their pistols with braces on the NFA, free of any tax stamp, free of anything else, and they can be left alone and they can keep your item, or keep their item, you better wait, because I guarantee you a massive majority of the gun community will comply with open arms to that one. A massive majority. If you're overpaying for guns and ammo, you're part of the problem. I would agree. Yeah, it's pretty absurd for sure. I know West Virginia passed some good 2A laws recently. Yes, I have seen that as well. Gat, I really appreciate that, man. Tony, your channel educates. I try. Building a select fire should be a Form 1. It shouldn't be any form. You should be able to just simply not fill out a form. Yes, so that's a great point on the bottom as well. I think at the end of the day, mark my words, because the people that are screaming the loudest that, you know, they will not comply, and from my cold dead hands, blah, 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 they're going to be the first ones in the lineup to hand them in. You mark my words. When push comes to shove, there is a difference, and when they are faced with, you know, these very tough questions, they kind of already know how they're going to react. I don't know what to tell you guys, honestly. I mean, it is absurd what is going on. Being in an industry and seeing day in, day out how people react to stuff that has not even become, I mean, the rash life decisions that an individual will make just simply by seeing a screenshot on social media of a title of a news article, and the decisions that they will make off that are unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. I mean, we're talking about things that are not even law, but that somebody sees or hears from a buddy, and they're making like rash decisions and giving things up already, and it hasn't even gone to law yet. I think that about shows you right where we're sitting. Yeah, it's going to get real, man. I mean, I would keep your eyes out on, on everything. I can tell you, I already got people, that are reaching out to me. Hey, man, what like non-adjustable brace should I get? Or like, I want to stay away from the SBA 3, and go with maybe a blade. Maybe I won't, put this on there or put that on there. Guys, if you haven't realized yet that there's not going to be a damn thing that you can do to your pistol that's going to avoid any scrutiny by the ATF, and you just want to like be left alone, I'll put this accessory or that accessory or whatever. There's not anything that you're going to do that's going to change that. So, I really don't know what to tell you guys. Curious on how other firearms would be affected. I don't know, because honestly, even the ATF barely knows what an other is at the end of the day. So I have no idea. I refuse to worry and live in fear of what could happen. Sure, I occasionally get mad about what's going on, but I won't let these clowns bring me down. That's a good point. Do you think automatic firearms should be legalized? So with me, personally, I don't believe that automatic firearms should have ever been banned in the first place. I think the issue was that we lived at a point at one time in this country where machine guns were readily available, right? Where you could go into a shop and walk out of a shop with a machine gun, a full auto machine gun. They were deemed as totally normal and just fine to own. We did not have massive shooting sprees all over the place. In fact, most of the shooting was going on with gang-on-gang violence back in the day. Ironically, once they passed the NFA, they tried to add a bunch of things on that were actually not being utilized in gang violence. They just simply brought it on, right? Add whatever you can onto this gun control bill in 1934. On top of that, most of these firearms, I want you guys to remember this, most of these firearms were not even bought legally. They were actually stolen from National Guard armories. So when you're talking about laws, you need to remember that all of those killings of gang violence, Al Capone, all this other crap back in the day was with stolen firearms anyways. And stealing, guess what, was already against the law. And on top of that, when they passed the 1934 NFA, it required a $200 tax stamp to own said machine guns. They still were not banned. Again, ironically, the only people that could actually afford this $200 tax stamp were not the everyday person that was not using these items for crime, but is the actual gangsters. If they actually wanted to get these legally, they were pretty much them and the politicians, which are the same as gangsters at that point, were the only ones that were able to afford that for $200. Mind you, all the way up until 1986, you could legally own machine guns without issue. A newly made machine gun, you just got to pay $200 extra dollars. On top of that, you could buy things like a Mac 10 and a Mac 11 for about $140 back in the 70s, right? About $140 with an extra $200 tax stamp. Wait about 4 weeks and you're good. And still, we did not see a massive increase in crime with machine guns up until that point. In 1986, Reagan banned the manufacture of new firearms for civilian ownership. At that point, the price of machine guns went through the roof. I can tell you that at this point, yes, I do not think there should be any restrictions against machine guns. They should be treated the same as any other firearm. Why? Because anybody, quite frankly, could buy or find a machine gun out there illegally and still utilize said machine gun to do a crime. We have to understand that we look at things like machine, you hear the word machine gun and immediately you're like, wow, that's a banned, crazy, criminal thing. And the only reason we think that way is good old thanks to the NFA from back in the day. Everyday common people own machine guns without issue for many, many decades, all the way up, and people still own machine guns today without issue. It's just people don't really know that. It's not in the norm. and that is the way it is. So I can tell you that if somebody is really going to commit a crime, they're going to commit a crime with any way that they see fit. If that's going to be utilizing an item that's legal or not legal, they are going to do that. A law is not going to stop somebody from doing that. So no, I do not think the NFA as a whole should exist, which is what I've said multiple times here on this channel. That is my opinion, and obviously there's going to be many differings to that opinion. Hey Joe, what water guns should I get for home defense? Yeah. Yeah, everybody's saying full auto should be legal. Machine guns are legal and have been legal. Machine guns are not banned. New machine guns have been banned in 1986, but machine guns that are made pre May of 1986 are under legal ownership still. What camera am I using? So this is an iPhone. The camera that I'm using at the range is a Sony a6000 camera, and yes, it is good to have the 9CT working. Do you think the GOA and FPC are effective? Yes, they are effective in the system if our system works the way that it should. I don't really believe that it does. You know. Put this towards your tax stamp. Thanks, Austin. Didn't Saturday Night Specials. There was a bunch to go along with that term, Saturday Night Special. Dara, sorry. I probably came on a little hard there with that answer. But yeah, how heavily they should be regulated. I can tell you that regardless of government cannot regulate evil or morality. And the reality of it is that people will be evil and they will not have a moral compass. And regardless whether that gun is fully automatic, semi-automatic, a bolt-action rifle, people have done more harm with a bolt-action rifle than they have with fully automatic rifles at times. The reality of it is, if you have an evil person out there with no moral compass, no law is going to stop them from committing the acts that they want to commit. That's just the reality of it. What do I use for backdrop and mic? The backdrop is actually just a paper backdrop. The mic is an LAV mic. And the LAV mic is just a, I don't know, crappy $20 Amazon special. And I have a bunch of different lights like all over the place here. This is a circle ring beauty light here that, I don't know, for like beauty vloggers or whatever. And that actually works out really well. And then I have two softbox lights behind me at the moment. Sorry, give me 1 second here, guys. Catching up. I'm going to be wrapping up the live stream here in just a few moments. What was your first suppressor? My first suppressor was a Dead Air Ghost 45. Are you excited to try out the new furniture on your Mini 14? Yes. Wow. That furniture, I'm not going to even touch on it because we're going to go into it way more hardcore here in a few days. And yeah, I'm very excited. Doc, how do you personally determine when it's worth advocating someone about the Second Amendment and correcting ignorant misunderstandings about guns versus just not talking because it's a waste of your time and breath? You know, I don't know personally. I think a lot of the time I determine now that it's not even worth it. I think most of the time people are going to be completely uneducated to that. I think you really have to feel out the situation. If somebody seems to be receptive and wanting to hear what you have to say, then great. If you don't think they are, then obviously it's probably not a great idea. What was the first gun I ever bought with my own money? Man, what was it? I want to say it was a Mossberg 500. I think it was a Mossberg 500. Pretty sure. All right. We are about 3 minutes over time, give or take. So I'm going to end this live stream now. Guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you. You give me constantly the motivation to continue doing what I'm doing. And I can't thank you guys enough. Getting constantly smacked in the face by YouTube at every single turn that I take is debilitating at times. It just kills the motivation, quite frankly. But you guys do really help out, give me just a little bit more to continue to try to make this content. And I do appreciate it. Guys, if you want to support the channel, head down to the description after this live stream. I'm going to be posting the links and stuff like that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. There will be a video, as always, dropped this Tuesday, and hopefully I'll be dropping that in the morning. I will let you guys know in a few days what that video is going to be. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay tuned for more great videos to come soon.